Welcome to my channel. Today, as we have already begun about the chapter 7, here we have discussed about the tribal societies and then how these tribal societies are very much different from the mainstream society. In my previous video, we have already talked about. So let us know now how they say tribals in fact have taken a kind of like a parallel rule in their own societies compared to our this mainstream society. Now, before the tribal society, we have to know that how this our main society in fact has the some sort of like a inconveniences in sort of some kind of like a the low and high rank. So let us know. So the society which is a mainstream society actually built up by the Brahmanas in fact has the low and high this rigidity. For example, we can find that there is a caste system we find, and these caste systems are actually basically the four. It is divided into four, and here we can find that the first one is a Brahmanas, second one is a Kshatriyas, and the third one is a Sudras, and the fourth one is a Vaishyas, or we can make the Vaishyas in the Vaishyas in the third place, and Shudras we can place in the fourth place. Okay, so this is the Varna system that we have got in India, and this is the created by the Brahmanas, and these particular systems or the Varna has been divided basing on the work that we do, especially on our profession. So suppose you are a kind of like a like a warriors or part of the like suppose a king or queens, then they will be asking you or to your division will be fall in the Kshatriya Varna. But suppose you are engaged in the rituals and puja and something like that, then you are considered like a Brahmanas, who is ultimately the supreme among all these. So here we can find. So in this Brahman caste, or in this caste system from the mainstream society, we can find it. There are many of the people were not considered as equal. So today, when we talk about the equality, so in this case, the equality doesn't apply. In this case, equality has got no space, because here the Brahmanas are considered the highest caste, and then followed by the Kshatriyas. Then you can find the Vaishyas and the Sudras. So apart from that, these four Varnas, again there are many of the Varnas have been divided, and those were actually considered as like OBCs or maybe like Dalits. So such kind of Varnas are also existing. So total perhaps we can understand about 8 Varnas in this country. So here only we can find, and here you can find the difference between the rich and poor. There will be a difference between the work and the activities, and there will be a difference between the behavior and respect, and there will be a difference between the society. Okay, so you can find all these things are happening in this country, especially in. However, in this addition to the Varna system, we have got another varieties of people living in this country, whom we call them tribes. And in this like a tribe, we don't find such kind of like a this differentiations. For example, this particular society does not follow the social rules and rituals prescribed by the Brahmanas, and you can find them that they were in fact right from the beginning were not divided into numerous unequal classes. Okay, so that's why they are known as the tribes. Now in India, these indigenous groups of people are actually living, and they are in fact referred as Adivasis. Adivasis, in fact, they are the original, before the arrival Aryans, they were already existed in India. So they are in fact, we can call them, they are the original people of this country. Okay, we have got already have seen that how this tribal society is actually working. For example, tribal societies are actually living in the group, and they are actually have got like a chief, and they have the clans, and they have got their own laws and regulations and traditions and rituals, and which is they are following. Then here each member of the tribe was actually allotted a specific task as per their caliber and interest. So today we can find that in this tribal group they have got many of the work activity is hand in hand is going on. So in the television channel we are watching only the dance part, the people in fact telecasting, and we don't know the internal part what is actually there. So usually you can see that the tribal is occupying, or the main occupation that they belong to is their farm. Okay, their farming is there, so they farm, and they are also part of the some part of the people are actually hunting and food gathering. Then also you can find them fishing, and then also they are cultivating the shifting cultivation, especially a small plot of land they are actually burning, and then clearing the jungle, and then planting the different crops. Okay, so these are the few things that is we need to know about them. And again, tribes actually has got no caste system, so we don't see them talking about their high and low, rich and poor. All these systems are actually they never discuss in them. And then again, a tribal group actually owned land and cattle collectively, and shared things in a mutual understanding. So they didn't have the jealousy of taking away the things and all of others. And as we find in the mainstream society, any of the things, suppose you touch, you take, or you suppose would like to have that, then you need to listen to the others, you need to listen to the many other comments, and they will be so much of lowering your dignity and respect. But in the tribal society, suppose you want to eat any of the things that are kept there, you can eat. They will not oppose you that you don't eat, you don't take away. Such kind of opposing systems are not found in the tribal societies. Okay, and they are very welcoming. So they allow the things and all, everything very openly. So, and these people are actually practicing the a subsistence agriculture, means supporting their family members only. So it is not meant for the selling and all. And again, we have discussed in our previous chapter that how we can get the source from this tribal history, or how do we know about the tribal history. So it may say the information that we get nowadays are very little, but maybe today's world, for example, in different tribes, people have been educated themselves, and those people are writing the history and all the information actually about the. So you can find them there. So the first information that we get is that usually the tribals were living in the forestry area, hilly area, and also we find in the deserted area. And then again we find that these people were actually not allowing the others to enter in their area or in their community. Actually they wanted to retain their freedom, and they preserve their separate culture away from the world. For example, suppose you have seen any of the outsiders happen to be present over there, then such kind of activity suppose going on, and then the other people who has gone to their place, he may giggle, he may insult, he may laugh at their such kind of rituals when they are following up. So there will be a big clashes. So that's why they are afraid that if the outsiders are also coming to enter there, then people will have some sort of a bad feeling about them. So that's why tribals should never try to mingle with others, as they know that what kind of their things are there. So that is the thing. Anyway, tribals are actually not very complicated people, in fact. So that is the thing we can find. And most of the tribes actually did not keep a written records, as we find the informations are actually orally passed from one elderly generation to the younger one. So that is the thing. So that's why the most of the informations are actually found in the form of orally passed information. Okay, but today maybe in the library some of the information we can get due to the people who are coming out of that, and then learning many things about the. Okay, so that is about the sources of tribal history. Next, we have to know that there are many of the dominant tribes, in fact, we find in this country. And the first dominant group that we are talking about is in the chart is given in the page number 68. Kindly you read through and you will get it. Now, let us talk about this Gon tribe little bit. Since the Gons were already is a big group, and this group is in fact have been occupied in most of this Odisha and Bengal and all. So you can find especially Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. These are all the states actually. In fact, we find these people were a large number of people were actually existed at the time. And then yeah, they are actually called Gondwana because the tribes is as a collectively is known as the Gondwana. In fact, we have found in the geography that there is a Gondwana land, is it not? Eurasia, Gondwana. So like that we can find some names in the geography. So here these people were in fact lived in all these areas, and they were actually speaking also the Gondi language. And you know the economic, when we talk about them, then you know most of the time the Gonds became rich and powerful, and the region is in which they lived was actually plentiful, precious metals and forest products more. So they were surviving on that, and their work activities are like collecting honey, then a metal work, carpentry, then you can see animal husbandry was found. Then also the capturing and training the elephants even they were doing. And here you can find that some sizable Gond population was further divided into many smaller clans. And here you can remember one of the Gond's kingdom was actually Gar Katanga, which has actually 70,000 villages. And we can remember the one most powerful ruler, that is Rani Durgavati, and she had a big troop in her kingdom, and then she encountered this Akbar's troop during the battle. And in the battle, of course, she didn't accept the what called like a friendship of this Akbar. Rather, she initiated the fighting, and then she fought bravely. In fact, in the battle, she didn't win, but then she lost, and yet she was actually not surrender herself. That is the thing we can find. So the Gonds were actually, however, later suppressed by the Marathas even in this region, even though Mughals were fighting with them. Then we can find that religious beliefs, dress and cultures where we can find. So they usually worship the forest, and a forest is the kind of like a Bandepta. They are saying Bandepta. So Bandepta is a forest god. Perhaps the image is not available in the book, but you can understand that Bandepta means you can see the forest tree. It may say a flower tree, a fruit tree, is it not, and a normal tree. So these are all part of this things actually combining as a Bandepta. And here the some of the festivals are celebrated through the songs, dances, and they have the very close relationship with the nature. That is the thing we can find. Here men part, especially men, usually wear plain loin clothes, and women actually wear the saris, which is the Indian clothes. Okay, then both men and women are actually here fond of wearing tattoos, okay, and silver ornaments. Then Gond celebrate by troop singing and dancing based on Gond legends, deities, and mythology. So these are things we can find in the especially in their tribe. Then the administrative system was actually here. We can find that the Gond kingdoms was actually very much centralized area, and here the kingdom was actually divided into gurs. Gurs means some sort of a division, and each gur was actually further subdivided into units of 84 villages called Chaurasis, and each Chaurasi was actually looked after by the particular Gond clan, and the Chaurasi was actually subdivided into 7 barhots, and consisting 12 villages in each barhot. So this way you can find that there are a big number of the villages were actually found in this Gond kingdom. Next, we have the Ahom kingdom. This particular Ahom kingdoms, in fact, have arrived from the Yunnan province, Chinese Yunnan province, and they reached to this part of this Assam, especially like. In fact, they migrated into Indochina and northern Myanmar, that is Burma, in the first centuries, and they actually finally reached here, especially in Brahmaputra Valley, in the 13th century. So 13th century is the first arrival of this tribe in this state. And Ahoms, when they came here, they fought some sort of like a battle against this Bhuyas of this Assam. So Ahom created a new state by conquering the powerful Bhuyas, and many other such indigenous kingdoms you can find that time. So these are all this actually defeated by this a young prince called, or the Thai prince called Sukhafa. So Sukhafa was the most powerful from Mong Mao. Okay, you remember this name. So the Ahom kingdom is also known as the Kingdom of Assam, particularly now. So you can find that a repeated attack has been done to this Ahom kingdom by this Mughal, and several attack has been done, and yet Mughals were not successful. Mughals were defeated by these Ahoms, and the most of the battles were fought in the Brahmaputra Valley, especially in the Brahmaputra River. And we can find that a number of like people have been sacrificed during this time, and then we can remember Lachit Borphukan, in the battle of the Saraighat and all, how he actually came out and then he dared to fight against this Mughal emperor. Then we can remember that during this one of the princes, especially Rudra Singh, the king Rudra Singh was most powerful, and his tenure was in fact from 1696 to 1714. This much duration, in fact, he ruled, and then they were quite successful. Then what kind of like administration that we find in these people? It means the Ahoms had actually a unique system of like a labor which is known as the pike system. Now all adults, okay, except this members of the royalty or the aristocrats or the priest, rest of the youths were actually considered as like as slaves or lawyers like that. So they were actually known as the pikes, and these pikes were actually required to serve in the army during the war, and as the Ahom kingdom was actually did not have the regular standing army. Now you can remember that during the days, especially when there is no battle, no war, then that time these youths or adult males were actually utilized for like agriculture, building the dams, then improving the irrigation, and developing the socially poor people. They are supporting, helping. So such kind of works were actually done on them, and they were actually very much like hard working at the same time, and they were also involved in the developing newer methods of rice cultivation. And in return, the pikes were actually given some fixed areas of land for their use, and the pikes were actually grouped into units called khels. So this is the thing we can understand. Okay, how this Ahoms tribes were actually ruling. And the Ahom kings actually introduced coins, as we can find in the Mughal emperor. The coins were introduced, the land revenue, land taxation, land measurement. All these things are found in the Ahom kingdom even. So it is not that only the Mughal kingdom in fact introduced, but the Ahom kingdom also introduced such kind of activity that was done there. And here religious beliefs of culture of this Ahoms are actually very different. We can find that most of the these religious festivals were actually celebrated since for a long time these people have been accepted the influence of the Brahmanas, and so many of the this Ahom people in fact accepted the Hinduism, and they became the Hindu, and they started following up the Hindu religion, and also they behaved as like a they are belong to that caste system. So it means caste system was actually followed in this tribe, and then some of the Ahoms were still found who have not actually accepted this is Hinduism. Still they are following the traditions, their previous religions and all. But most of the time today, for example, in Assam, we have seen that most of the Ahimsa actually became Hindus, and they are following up that. Okay, so the most famous tradition folk dance of Assam, that is Bihu, got fame after like Ahom king Rudra Singha invited the performers for Bihu on the occasion of Rongali Bihu and all. So this today Rongali Bihu that we celebrate as a like a regional festival in Assam. So this is actually introduced by Ahom king Rudra Singha. Okay, so in my next video I will talk about how the nomads and the tribes lived, the Banjaras, and then changing society with the time. So these are the few points are left out, so I'll talk about all this. Okay, so thank you.